Hey everybody, what's happening? I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. You know, I say hello everybody. There may not be anybody here. You know, that does work that way. Today we're going to be doing a bit of a. This is actually a request. I guess there are several people that have reached out with emails and said, you know what? I have no idea what you're talking about with 90% of the case. Shane, what's happening? You know what? I wish I could give you a wrench from here. You do need one. Calhounis. I believe Calhoun would have to give it to you. Hold on one second. There is an opportunity here for something to happen that might be just absolutely beautiful. So I am Tommy. If you're just getting here, welcome to the lifeboat. We're going to do a request. I am going to do Diddy, from start to finish, the case, not the entire guy's life. For God's sakes, we'd be here for 2 days. But we are going to go through and knock out this case from when we're going to call the start of this. Oh, man, I'm having a good day. There we go. Hold on one second. Nope, that's not going to work. Under a blood. All right. There we go. There we go. Lisa Trimble, how are you? Hey, Donna Kebab, good to see you. Teresa, what's happening? Glory. Hey, that would be the Johnny Scoville. Mars, good morning from New Zealand. Good to have you. Megan Lowe, what's happening? Cindy Plumley. Hey, Shane. Nicola and the Count of St. Germain. All right. These things are driving me nuts. That's what's happening with that. Driving me nuts. It's crackling in my ears, doing all that. Can I get a 5x5 if I sound like I am at all halfway decent? Taylor Miller, good to see you. Tina Serlin, how are you? Hey, Robin from Belfast. How cool is that? Very, very cool. The migraine is considerably better. Last night, I went to sleep at a reasonable hour for the first time in many days. You know, something like this happens and they're releasing info at like ridiculous hours. I mean, this guy, the lawyer from Texas, filed charges on a Sunday night. You know what I mean? Like that's when the leak came out on that, and it's like one thing after another that you sort of have to keep up on. So you think today will be a day I'm just gonna lounge. Today's the day I'm not gonna do anything. I don't have to worry about it. I'm not gonna get right nothing, no harm, no foul. And then something will break. And if you take a couple of days to do it, nobody wants to hear it. By then they've all heard it. Shar, how are you? Kristen Melinda, how are you, my friend? Incarnasol, good to see you. Galen, good to see you. Monica. Casey, good. I'm glad to hear the 5x5. Good. Anne Marie, how are you? Someday I'll tell you a really funny Anne Marie story. Another one from Glasgow. You know something? We're bad and we're international. You gotta love this. Finally made one. Monica, welcome to the boat. I'm glad that you're here. We're going to go back to the very, very beginning of this, of the litigation anyway. Not to the beginning of the entire thing, because you'd have to go back to, I mean, how far back do you go? I guess the Diddy mythology, you'd probably have to go back to at least Uptown Records, and you could spend an awful lot of time just talking about the early days of the diddler. But we're not gonna. We're just gonna handle the stuff, because what I'm trying to do is make it so that people that have not kept up with this, because there's a lot of people that haven't. A lot of people kind of jumped in on this because there's almost no way to avoid it, right? Most of the content creators that you like are probably talking about this, and a lot of content creators where you go, I'm not even sure why, people who have YouTube channels about motorcycles are talking about the Diddy case because it brings in views. It really does. Nicola, how are you? Yeah, lately it's one scandal after another. And when you start hearing this stuff put into a chronological order, when you start hearing this like boom, boom, boom with dates, you'll start to realize that it's amazing just how fast these things are coming, one right after the other, after another, after another. Another Glaswegian. I'm sure I said that wrong, but I really dig it. Hey, Lisa Hill. Anka, how are ya? Street Share, what's happening? Annika's mom. Good to see you, Annika's mom. Just popped in. Barnes Cruz. Wow, what a kind thing to say. What a really cool thing to say. Jonathan, what's happening? Joe Birdwell. I hope you got my email, Joe Birdwell. So let's fire this thing up. And you know what's funny is people will come in and they'll be somewhere in the middle of the timeline. So it'll be there. They can go back to the beginning and run it double speed. But we're going to go through this pretty quick. I would like everybody to have a pretty good idea of kind of the history of this case so that we can have intelligent conversations. Because I'll be really honest, most of the really incredible insights, in my opinion, that have come out so far on this have come out from people in my audience. I'm not kidding. This is a kind of a true crime group of people, right? A lot of people watch a lot of true crime. It's funny when you think about the law nerd, and then it's not. I mean, we had cases here in the U.S. that have been signed that have been solved by content creators, right? By people that had true crime channels that got really, really into chasing stuff down. Not much chance of that, people. I won't be solving any crimes, but I will be commenting on stuff, especially if it's such a big deal that you can't not comment on it. And I feel like a genius because in the first video we ever did on Diddy, I said, I know you're probably wondering why the hell I'm doing this, but I'm doing this because when this all comes out in the wash, this dude's just another Epstein. And in a lot of ways, I do believe he's just another Epstein, right? Absolutely. VT Velv, the coroner, how are you? Like button activated. Well, that's the spirit. Netherwood Mullenix. Would that be Netherwood Mullenix? I like what you've done there. Megan Lowe, how are you? November 16th, 2023 starts this entire process, right? And for those of you who have been paying attention to this the entire time, that is the day that Cassie Ventura officially filed her lawsuit. Now, she had gone to him allegedly years earlier talking about a book that had been written. Tony's Hooter, good to see you. Talking about a book, a project that she was doing. Kind of giving him an opportunity for a catch and kill. I sometimes wonder the difference between a catch and kill and blackmail. Because to me, they sound really similar, right? Hey, you want to make this go away? You can buy this story, or I'm going to go sell it to a major, a magazine or whoever. I'm going to break the story. That sounds like blackmail. But apparently, if you do it with a lawyer, it's called a catch and kill. If you do it without a lawyer, I guess it would be blackmail. November 17th, the next day, Mr. Combs decides that he's going to settle. And both parties agreed to not talk about it. And that the amount of money that had been paid was kind of kept hush-hush. But everyone in the world knows the number. Not sure how that happened, but it is the way it goes down. A friendly wood from the high desert of Cali. Joey Frakes, what's happening? I did time with a kid named Frakes he was from the East Coast. I'm trying to remember what his first name was. Yeah, damn, I can't remember his first name. Dario, how are you? Good to see you. So the very next day, 30 million is the number that gets bantied around. Hey, Lumen, Scam Buster, what's happening? This is one of those things to make you go, huh, right? If there's a gag order in place, if all of this stuff is up and running, then how is it that we have all of the details of this long before any of this stuff made it into the, made it into the world of pop culture, right? Instantly. We know it's $30 million. We know he did it the next day. Then it gets a little bit more exciting, right? Right around the 23rd of November, Combs is accused of SAing and drugging in the early 90s. These were multiple incidents, right? First live? No way. Welcome to your first live. It's nice to have you on the boat. You know what, Rise Higher? You're absolutely right. Magnesium helps prevent migraines. My ex-partner, my partner and ex-girlfriend turned me on to that. She was a big proponent of magnesium. And you know what? She had a lot of remedies that all seemed to actually work out. It's fairly impressive. This was the New York State Adult Survivors Act, right? And at the time, it was getting ready to expire. So a bunch of people started to file on Combs, and this was November 23rd. So as far back as almost a year ago, the crap started to hit the fan, and it's been picking up momentum really quickly since then. Annika's mom says, don't care who else is talking about Diddy. You are the only one I watch. Oh, what a cool thing to say. What a very cool thing to say. So fast forward to December 6, 2023. Combs denies all allegations, right? After the fourth lawsuit is filed. And he comes out and he says, enough is enough. I don't know if you remember that whole, his all of the stuff that he did before getting locked up is actually a lot of fun. Patricia, how are you? Jodo, good to see you. And what I mean by that is he'll deny the hell out of something and then he's forced to come back. This was the big denial, right? These are people trying to assassinate his character. Like he was indignant as hell. This is because he was a wealthy black businessman, right? That was the narrative he wanted to go running with. Myers girl, good to see you. The December 10th, things start going bad. I know that's funny as hell because things have been going really bad up to that point. But up until that point, people aren't literally jumping ship from him and running away as fast as they possibly can. And that starts for the first round on December 10th, 2023. The brands begin to sever ties with his e-commerce company, 18 of them, right? Empower Global in the wake of mounting, misconduct allegations. All the press releases started to come out, people saying, while, this was a difficult decision and it pains us, everybody's bailing. Everybody is bailing. And back then, I don't know if you remember this, but back then people did talk. There were people who would occasionally make a comment about Diddy, like, well, we'll see what happens, in court, that kind of thing. I think by now they realize that talking, saying positive stuff about this guy is probably not good for your career. Let's keep it real. December 13th, a little insult to injury. Hulu scraps the Combs family reality show plans. That's right. There was a show in the works that it was going to be called Combs Plus 7 or some crap like that. And this was going to be a reality show following around the Combs, which would have been, it would have had to really put a crimp in the dude's style, right? I'm sure he's filmed all the time anyway, but he doesn't let those tapes out. I think a reality show would have been really interesting in the Combs household. Good Lord. And then from December 13th until the end of February, everything's kind of chilling out for the dude. He may be able to kick it around the house and go, maybe an exhale. Now, keep in mind, people, he knew all this legal stuff was coming, right? So we can't put a date on certain things, but we know that right in the month of December, allegedly, is when he started to first talk to lawyers about trying to get a legal team put together. That's not to say that when Cassie first filed, he was ready to roll. He had an attorney. That attorney dropped him, right? That attorney worked with other artists that said, I don't want to work with you if you're going to work with him. Meredith Lynn, good to see you. Glad you're here. That's one of those things too that you can't really blame. You can't really blame an attorney for looking out for his best interest, right? The Combs camp is probably not the one you're going to want to be associated with, unless you're a defense attorney. Then this is things. They're calling it the $100 million defense. We'll see what it comes out to, but I guarantee he's going to blow a lot of money. February 26th, the next really big lawsuit. And this is another one, very much like the Cassie Ventura lawsuit. This one is going to shape the trial that we're going to see, or the grand jury indictments that we're going to see, and everything going forward in the feds. Half of it looks like on paper that it comes from the Cassie Ventura lawsuit. And then a lot of it also comes from the producer, Little Rod Jones. He worked with Diddy on the Love album, right? And worked with him for a long time. He was living in the house, and the allegations on this are all creepy, but very Diddy-like with everything else. The guy talked about a lot of people getting drugged. He talked about being hit on, having forced sex onto him in a bathroom by the cousin of Little Miami. This dude, this guy listed an awful lot of things, and he brought allegedly a crap load of receipts. This guy showed up with allegedly all kinds of audio and video stuff to back up everything that he was saying. And it would seem that is the case because the narrative of these parties were more than parties is exactly what we're doing here today, right? The RICO case and everything else that came out of that sort of mindset. This wasn't a lifestyle. That's what this is going to come down to next May when this goes to trial. It's not going to go to trial next May. That is the date that they set, but it's not going to go to trial next May. There's absolutely no chance that happens. But it's going to be the defense saying, we're freaks, right? We're freaks. That's how we get down. It may not be your lifestyle, but you can't bag on us just because I like to have 2 or 3 people come in and have sex with my significant other while I watch. And she's into it, right? That's going to be the defense. That's it, right? The reason that all of the developments that were happening last week are so important is because if there is an individual who is underage, if one of those crimes comes in, if we get a superseding indictment that has somebody underage in it, and you know what? There's a lot of smoke on that, isn't there? Right? A lot of smoke. There seems to be, this is a recurring theme. If we believe the last batch of the lawsuits that were filed, the girl who was 13, the one that described Celebrity A and Celebrity B, that whole thing started with a limo driver going up and saying, you're a young girl, right? You're the type that Diddy likes. Allegedly, that's how this whole thing started for her. And it's horrific to read. It really is. And I'm going to skip the details on a lot of this stuff because honestly, number one, if I read them all out, I got a decent chance of getting demonetized. Lena and Love, good to see you. Hey, Dale Cox. But the other thing is, it's depressing and it's salacious. It really is. And I'm not saying that I'm going to report on the stuff. I'm not going to report on the stuff 60 times so that we continue to read out the same garbage over and over again because it's really disturbing. You know what? That's an interesting point. If this guy is considered dangerous enough, it's a really great point. And I haven't heard anybody bring it up yet in any of the chats I've done. But if this is a RICO case and we're treating this guy like he's Don Corleone, what would we do to witnesses if Don Corleone was on the line? Huh? We'd probably give him a new identity. We did it for old Henry Hill, didn't we? Right? And we've done it for other people that don't know. It doesn't always work out. A lot of gangsters go back to being gangsters. But that's a great question. He is, if you believe everything they're saying, he's dangerous as hell. That's why they don't want him out on bail, is because they think he's going to be ordering hits and trying to shut people up. And they think he's dangerous as hell. I'm not saying I buy in any of that, but that's certainly what they say every time this guy gets a bail hearing. And he does get a lot of bail hearings. Let's keep that real. Well, thank you, Annika's mom. And you look great in green. Hey, Jennifer Folsom. What's happening? Andrew B. Yeah, the South Park had the counter in the bottom. We need one of those for allegedly. That's a great idea. That's an absolutely great idea. Joey Frakes says he's already managed to figure out how to cope with being inside, I'd imagine. He's been in there long enough to start feeling comfortable. Well, here's the deal. He's going to be alone, right? He's not going to have a cellmate. So if he's cool with solitary, some guys are, right? I was never somebody that was bothered by being in a cell alone. He might be stoked that he doesn't have a cellmate. Or he might be a flaming narcissist that wants to talk to people constantly to tell them how cool he is. I don't know the guy, right? But you got to keep in mind where he came from. A lot of times we think about people like me or people like you or you know, the normal cat that gets busted for something. And yeah, we might have been doing well, right? You know, we might have had a house and a couple of cars, right? Some decent wristwatches. So going from sleeping in a really nice bed and next to a significant other to a jail cell is a shocker. This guy wasn't living like that, right? This guy wasn't living like that. This guy wore clothing once and then threw it out. This guy lived the most extravagant lifestyle that anyone's seen, right? He was trying to be a king. He was trying to live like a pharaoh more than he was trying to live like a human. Lisa Trimble is turning people green. Thank you, Lisa. Tossing them out like hot sauce packets. Yo, what's up, Michael? Hey, Dennis N. Holy hell, how are you? Dusty, you can send me an email. TommyScoville@gmail.com. MCon, how are you? Did he spill the beans on the Abercrombie freak? Well, it's a hell of a theory, right? And I'll tell you something, if you chase that down real quickly, and then I'll get back to the timeline. But if you chase that down, the owner of Abercrombie and Fitch is Les Wexner, who also owns Victoria's Secret. His financial advisor, the one financial advisor he had, was Jeffrey Epstein, right? And Jeffrey Epstein's jet ended up with Diddy, okay? You start watching all of the moving parts, and you're like, how could they not? Diddy absolutely enjoyed men, right? And it seems like the people that the majority of people allegedly that he assaulted are men. I'm not saying all of them. I mean the underage ones. It seemed that that was the thing. Underage boys more than underage girls so far. That's what we're hearing in numbers so far. So after the Little Rod lawsuit on March 25th, federal agents raid his LA and his Miami homes. You remember this? This was the fun day, right? This was the day. He's lucky he's in MDC Brooklyn and not the Twin Falls. You know what, Joey? It's funny to me. Everybody's got one of those. Everybody's got that one. If you've ever done time, people, right? If you've ever been down, every prison sucks, right? Every jail sucks. Every shower's dirty, right? Every room's disgusting. But there's going to be one that sticks out in your mind as just an absolute shithole. But it makes me laugh every time someone will say, oh man, the worst is here, because every other person who's done time is thinking the exact same, start of that sentence, but they're putting Lewisburg on the back of it, or they're putting, Atwater or wherever they did time. And, that was particular. Atwater's a pretty new prison, but some of the really, really old ones. There was one in Nevada that got shut down recently this puppy had been in business for so long. When you sat there quiet, you could hear water running like in the walls and everything. It was just one of the most disgusting and musty, gross places on earth. They're turning it into a museum now, which might be fun to go back and film at. If I ever get a shot, like that's something I would do. Hello, Butterfly. Hey, Pajama Pixie. Oh, I love it that you're here. That's so cool. Dory Angel. Dory Angel, good to see you. Miss Tiny Tornado. How quiet is Hollywood right now? Huh? This is it's true. How quiet are they right now? Are they looking into Oprah? She hangs out with these pedos. Absolutely true. And enough people are talking about it. Main Street media isn't going to tell you half of the stuff. This is why they're afraid of people that can come on and talk and have a dialogue back and forth with other people and fire ideas back and forth and think. Really kind of a weird thing. Yeah, Diddy. Great piece of advice. And I'll tell you something, in the feds, if you go into the shower and you're not wearing shower slides, believe it or not, they'll beat you for that. Vixen, good to see you. How are you? Sandy Wandy, what's happening? So March 25th was the raids. This is when we saw the big military looking vehicles, right? That were cruising down, and they were going to kick both doors in at the same time. And you know what? What are the odds? We were lucky enough that there was a helicopter over the top of the house when the raids were getting ready to take place. Lucky, huh? Not only that, but there were cameras that were sort of catching them as they were coming down. There were cameras catching them as they were going away. Like that, they had coverage on that crap. They really did. If you go back and you watch all of the coverage from that, you think to yourself, man, if you're coming in there like, guns a-blazing, who was filming? I don't know. Really weird to me. Really, really weird to me. Zuzu Torrens, what's happening? Would that be instead of Zuzu Pedals? Please tell me that's a Zuzu Pedals reference, because that would just knock me down funny. Harley 62, bonjour. James Sharp. Good Lord, that's terrifying. That's terrifying. Yeah, Oprah's every time I bring up Oprah, the story I get, right, is worse than the previous one. It's like, yeah, she eats people. And every story, the next one would be just a little bit. When I first started doing it, it was more of a, it wasn't nearly as nasty. There's a lot of animosity against that woman. A lot of people that just really, really don't like, Oprah. Really do not like Oprah. So March 26th, right? Sean Combs dumps Revolt, right? All of his interest, all the cash he had or whatever, in Revolt. He officially stepped down, which is really kind of funny because he didn't do a damn thing there anyway. But he used his name to get a lot of government money. No joke, right? He got a lot of government money because government money should go to people with hundreds of millions of dollars so that they can start businesses. But he got Revolt up and off the ground, and it was going to be for hip hop and for the young generations. I love it, Zuzu. That's awesome. That really is. That is absolutely awesome. It's a Wonderful Life reference. You gotta love it. That's why I just said Zuzu Pedals. If I had said the name of the movie, it wouldn't have been nearly as impressive if you came back with it. But yeah, that's awesome, man. It's really a great name. So that same day, his attorneys came out and did the big dance of death, right? This is a witch hunt, blah, blah, blah. It's the same thing that they do all the time. His attorney at the time was Aaron Dreyer. Notice we don't hear that name anymore. Aaron who? What happened to him? Hey, Russ, what's up? Catalina, good to see you. You know something? I'll tell you this. The video that I complained about getting dinged on, you go down and you appeal it. I won. We got the money back on that, which is really cool because it was a good video, man. You know what I mean? I didn't say anything on there that should have gotten me dinged. I think it's random, but you really have to appeal in anything that you don't think you screwed up on. Parlock, thank you so much for the support. Yeah, right? I bet the farm. I would bet the farm that the guy had multiple. So one of the first lawsuits that ever got filed on this case, it was one of the first ones that we talked about, or one of the dates that I read. This was somebody that accused him of doing this a long time ago, right? An awful long time ago. Like when he was in Howard University days, allegedly, right? And then he allegedly showed this thing to all kinds of friends like you would, hey, I got Star Wars on VHS. Like years later, he was showing an essay video, right? A video where he essayed somebody like it was entertainment. And that is such a bizarre concept, right? But more than one person has alleged the same thing. This is something that comes up a lot. Cassie Ventura said that he would film the freak-offs on her phone, right? Just to be intimidating. And afterwards she would delete it and he'd go, you're wasting your time. I can get that back. And she thought, of course he can. And then on a flight, he put it on for all to see on it was the in-flight entertainment on one of his flights. Scares the hell out of you, doesn't it? It certainly scared the hell out of her. And with good reason. V. McWilliams, good to see you. Nicola Mack, what's happening? Hey, Cindy Plumley. The snuff films, I probably shouldn't even say that out loud on a YouTube channel, but it comes up in conversation all of the time, and it's I don't want to say it's urban legend because it's not, right? But you don't see prosecution for it. You don't see, and it seems like because of that, it makes people speculate a lot more, right? It really does. But if there's somebody on planet Earth that would have one of those, don't you feel like it would be him? Like, I'm not trying to be, I just feel like that's what we've seen up to this point. And the things that he's been accused of up to this point. I don't think I would be particularly shocked about anything, right? Including something like that. Allegedly. Woohoo! I love it. And you know something, people? Big shout out. Christy, good to see you. Hey, Camellia. I can't tell you how happy I am, and I want to thank all of you because, you keep doing the content that you do, and you hope that good things happen. But, we did about 6 months at 20,000. We cannot seem to get a subscriber. And we've been averaging about 170 subscribers a day for the last month and a half. And that, it's not going to last. It never does, but it's a hell of a lot of fun while it does. And it's nice to celebrate when it's good and not complain about it when it's bad, right? That's the idea. What was the old man saying? Be humble in victory and proud in defeat, right? If you can carry that both ways, things go good. Cece Shelby, glad you're here. Hey, Holly Smith. All right. So the attorney does and this is the attorney that we're going to see disappear here shortly. March 25th, right? Same day of the raid is when they arrested the 25-year-old drug mule. And they instantly called that fool a drug mule, didn't they? Brendan Paul. You guys remember this guy? He was a basketball player at one time for, where did he play? Syracuse University, I think. The Orangeman, I'm pretty sure he played at Syracuse. If I'm wrong, somebody can correct me, but I think he played at Syracuse. And this guy was a drug mule. I'm a little perplexed by the drug mule thing. If you're not flying on regular airplanes, why do you need a drug mule? Right? Oddly enough, I've actually been on a private jet on an occasion or two. Not because I had any cash, but because people that I worked for used to have quite a bit of it. Thank you, Real As It Gets. That's a great question. That really is. I'm sorry, but that's a great question. Hey, Lovejoy, new to your channel. We're glad to have you. Nobody talks about Sarah, Diddy's other baby mama. Do you think she's a witness or a participant in freak-offs? Interesting. I don't know. Really interesting, because you're right. There's not a lot said about Sarah. In fact, I can't think of any of her being placed at anywhere other than the mention of the fact that is, SoCal friend, correct. All of these people walked around with a little bag you wear around your waist, right? Little leather sack that you wear around your waist. Everybody carried one filled with chemicals. So why do you need a drug mule? But that's sure as hell what they called him. Now, he got caught with dope. He had dope on him, right? Think he would have been arraigned by now? You think he would have been, or have we been moving through the court system, right? Shouldn't we be seeing something in the news about this cat? Because I feel like he disappeared off of the face of the earth. And usually when somebody disappears off of the face of the earth, it's because they're probably not getting prosecuted. And if they're not getting prosecuted, very often that's because they've made a deal with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Now, of course, all of this falls under the allegedly heading because he's denied every word of it, right? This alleged drug mule said, no. He partied with him, right? He partied with him, but he was no drug mule. He was a drug mule, allegedly. May 10th, Combs asks judge to dismiss the R claim. You know the ugly R word? Yeah. This is something that's done pro forma. You know what I mean? There were people that actually made videos about it. How could he go in there? You always do this. You always file a motion to dismiss. It's done it's just always done. I guess unless you have a really bad public defender, but everybody does it. My thoughts on Gene Deal. I have always found Gene Deal to be incredibly. I just get the vibe that guy's that he's believable, right? He's super believable. That's been my opinion on Gene Deal, and I would love to interview the guy. And I honestly, I don't want to ask him about any of the stuff anyone else ever asked him again. This guy was a probation officer who also worked in security in a really, really kind of rugged world and was a big homie. That's the strangest coming together of three lifestyles in one place. I would love to talk to him about that. What the hell were your days like? How do you remember? Right? Okay, so the gun's on my hip. I'm a cop this time, right? the gun's up here. Now it's crazy, man. It really is. It's crazy. And I know people will say a lot of cops work security. Not for Diddy, right? Not for Diddy, they don't. That's a little different, don't you think? I mean, those people actually had to deal with security. Most security guys walk around with stars and make sure that idiots don't grow up and try to grab them, right? It's just big dudes that go, hey, and bark and stuff. Man, that ain't what Gene Deal was doing, man. Like they really had to drive like madmen, and they, guns got fired. Crazy stuff, man. Muffin Cooper, thank you so much. Silence is violence. I hope all who knew and didn't speak up go down with them. Just me being me. That's a great comment. And I think that's the purpose for Rico, right? That's the purpose for Rico. Think about one of these, and I know I beat this to death, but think about one of these freak offs. Diddy doesn't check in. He doesn't go to the desk. He rents 2 entire floors, right? Allegedly, he'd rent 2 entire floors. All of this is done by a buttload of people who know what's going to be going on, right? Allegedly. They know what's going on inside these rooms. People had to procure the chemicals. People had to get the chemicals and put them into the right bottles and the right little stuff for dosing people and all of the stuff that goes along with that. And then when it's trashed, the room is completely destroyed afterwards. They need people who are going to go and clean it up, right? So like ServPro, kind of like it never even happened. And then when it can't be fixed like it never ever happened, they write checks. And the guy that writes the check or the gal that writes the check is complicit. Everybody in this is complicit. For real. Real as it gets says he was supposed to go to a 6-month rehab. Yeah, no, he claimed he did go to rehab. And if you believe that he went to rehab, I have got some beachfront property right down the street from my house. And it is for sale currently. Jonathan, good to see you. On May 17th, the whole ball game changes, right? May 17th, the entire ball game changes because surveillance video, which had been obtained by CNN, showed Sean Combs allegedly chasing, and he's beating her, but it was alleged that she was running away from a freak off. He denies that, right? And they've already even started arguing about this in court already. There's already people, the prosecution is saying, no, there were at least one that they know of, male sex worker that was inside, right, that room. She was trying to get away, and he beats the brakes off of her, and he does it while wearing a towel, right, nothing but a towel, and not losing the towel in the process of beating her, kicking her, and throwing a vase at her, which he had hit her with. But he does this on tape. And then he goes and tries to get the people that run the hotel to make it go away by bribing them. Now, they had alleged at the time, everybody alleged at the time that he was trying to buy the video. Like he wanted it. So maybe he got it, right? Maybe that's how Homeland Security came across it, right? When they raided that. But Homeland Security claims they never saw that tape prior to May 17th when all of us saw that. And then on the 19th of May, probably out back at a rehab. You know what I mean? Because he told us he was, at this point he was getting help. It looked remarkably like he was in Florida, but at his house. But who knows? He came out with a statement that it's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life, but sometimes you got to do that. I was effed up. I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I make no excuses. My behavior on that video was inexcusable. I take full responsibility for my actions in that video. I'm disgusted. I was disgusted then, and when I did it, and I'm disgusted now. I think we were all disgusted. I don't think anybody that saw that wasn't disgusted, old diddler. I went out and sought professional help, he continued. Had to go into therapy, into rehab. Had to ask God for his mercy and grace. I'm so sorry, but I'm committed to being a better man each and every day. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm truly sorry. I don't know. Maybe he is truly sorry. Not me to judge, right? Thank God. I don't think I'd be very good at it. No, you cannot. You absolutely cannot. And you know something? I saw a very interesting case of this with somebody that I cared very deeply for, who went into rehab. And while they were in rehab for opiates, they were given huge amounts of benzodiazepines. That's to make sure that they didn't get sick. And they were in a facility. There was a doctor there. There's, nurses there or whatever. But while this person was in the process of that, they came in and had them sign things, right? And when they went to court, the judge was like, no, you can't consent to anything. You can't sign contracts. You can't do anything, right? You can't do anything when someone's under the influence, right? No, they can't consent if they're loaded. Sorry, they can't. And especially if they're not loaded because they decided to get loaded. Doesn't matter one way or the other. If somebody gets so drunk on their own that they can't say no, doesn't mean that you're supposed to, you can't get away with it. There's never an excuse for that, ever. There isn't. There isn't. Thank you so much, Mara. Allegedly, he was selling drugs at Syracuse. I heard that as well. And apparently, see that? You thought I was going somewhere else with that, didn't you? And I went, apparently the pink blow is really popular these days, right? This Tucci, this pink Bolivian marching powder, which oddly enough has almost no, if not any, Bolivian marching powder in it. Right? Got some pink dye. It's got normally some methamphetamine. It's got some ketamine. It's a cocktail of different things thrown together that probably shouldn't be thrown together, but it's the new party drug. Every generation has to have a party drug they can act stupid on, right? And if your parents act stupid on the drug, then you got to come up with something that they didn't do. It's not cool anymore. Will I be on with Scott and Jag on Saturday evening? I don't know that there's not sure if there's any chance of that happening, but I will probably be on that show again though. We have a lot of fun over there. I think I will be back. Catalina, you know what? I think a lot of people probably feel the same way that you do, that Jaguar Wright and Gene Deal have incredible things to say. Yeah, right. And most of us, I think, believe the vast majority of both of them. It does seem as if one message gets better over time, right? And that we all do this. We all do this. Oh, man, I got one or two stories that I've told 600 times, and I guarantee you, by the 600th time, the fish I caught's probably a little bit bigger than the fish that I caught. It's just human nature, I think. Maybe not. Jackie Wincup, what's happening? I don't think I've ever said hi to you. Welcome to the boat. Scooby Lee, I know I've said hi to you. What's up, Scoob? Miss Sunrise Dawn. Laura Lee Smith. Damn, we got the whole gang. Johnny Scoville. Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to a silver play button, and I'm going to get it because I'm not going to leave. Oh, I've been fact-checked by Lost in Time. The government and TV people are not a bunch of child, whatting serial killers being protected by the feds that run the big red button. Well, I'm glad that we got that taken care of, right? I got to be honest. I was leading in the other direction on that. We needed a good fact check. I think that the drug mule is probably cutting a pretty good deal. He did not mention Cassie's name during the apology at all, did he? Not one word, did he? See what I did there? Not one word of the woman he was beating on. And I would imagine that, the number of women that just so far that allegedly we know he put hands on, this is just part of who he is, right? This wouldn't be the kind of situation where after he did this, he went, oh my God, what did I do? He does it every day. He does it to the staff. He does it to everybody. He walks into somebody else's party and goes and allegedly essays somebody. He's just the creepiest, creepy stuff, man. He was at Young Miami's house. All right. Allegedly. Do you know what's funny? I don't know if you guys happened to be on the other day when I was over with Sean Atwood, but Sean actually sang an apology. I'll tell you something. So I have had people ask me. I've had people ask me my opinion on it. Did I think that he was under the influence? And if I thought he was under the influence. What did I think he was under the influence of? And I'll tell you now, since we're here. Well, Priscilla, I'm glad you like floating on the boat. I think his private pilots are cutting deals as we speak. That's what I think. Truly and honestly, I think that his private pilots are cutting deals as we speak. You know what? Sorry, people. This is what I was going back for. The has been trafficking in narcotics for 40 years to make money for their South America coups and government overthrows. I would disagree. I would say 55 years. Yeah, if I had to put a number on when they got into the business of doing that, if it were my opinion would be that right after when the Vietnam, but not us, the French, like Dien Bien Phu, right before we even got into the war, I think that they got over there and saw this as an opportunity. And it seems like wherever we're at war, the cash crop from that particular part of the world does make its way back to our streets. No, right after Vietnam, we saw the first ever spike in OD deaths from opiates, but particularly H. High quality stuff that was hitting the New York streets, and people were appalled. Right? They showed syringes in the street and bodies in the street on the cover of like Newsweek magazine and Time magazine because they were disturbed by this. 4,000 people had overdosed in a year. It's disturbing. Last year, 110,000 OD'd. It's gotten slightly worse. Well, Sabrina, do tell Sabrina I said, I love cats. Love cats. Yeah, he was a mess. So my humble opinion is that on the day that he filmed that hostage video, it looked like he was doing a hostage video, like they forced him to do that. But when he was sitting there and doing that beautiful acting job, my gut, his pupils were not the size that I would have expected them to be if he were sober. Opiates constrict your pupils, right? They get like pinpricks. Really, really bad. Now, obviously, light and things like that do that anyway. But with those who are taking opiates on the regular, it doesn't much matter. They're always going to be pins. Yes, it really was. And I think that anytime you see an apology and the person wants to tell you how bad, things are tough for them and they feel bad about, they're disgusted with themselves. And, how about to the people that I hurt? Right? Sorry to the people I hurt. Nah, I don't think he's got that. You know what? So I have not seen, hey, Batters, I have not seen Harvey in a bit. Wow. Dennis N. Dennis N says, my dealer went to jail today. I'm so thankful for God waking me up and for this boat. Dennis, I'm so glad you're not a part of it, man. Hey, Jane Aldrich, good to see you. And I am doing better. I got a lot of sleep. The 25K trophy. Yeah, here we go. To the lifeboat, the official. Well done, the crew of the lifeboat. Who, honestly, you realize that every great collab I do, all of those things, they all end up because somebody watched the boat, and then goes and talks to somebody, and those people reach out, and the good things happen. It's always because of you guys. It really is. I'm not being funny or kissing butt. It's always because of you guys. Charlie Muffins, what's happening? Good to see you, man. May 23rd. Right? I'm sorry, I missed one here. After the apology, on May 21st, a former model sues Combs for alleged SA. That would have been Crystal McKinney. This is the woman that said that he forced her to perform oral sex on him in the bathroom at a New York recording studio. This is one. It's crazy because so many of these have come out that you kind of forget the early ones. On the 23rd of May, Cassie broke her silence. She did so on a couple of different platforms, but I think Instagram was the first place we saw it. September, and it was thanking everybody and talking about now she can concentrate on her life and on being a mother. It's beautiful stuff, honestly. And you know what? I hope she got every bit of 30 million. I really do. And I hope she sells her story for another 30. I hope she and her family have a great life from here on out. I really do. Devoid of pain. Yarn Prepper, good to see you. Glad that you're here. And I mean that. I really do. I hope that she gets what she was put through for 10 years. That's such a degrading and foul. Beat the piss out of me. That's fine. But the whole that whole angle and that whole degradation thing. And here's gifts while I have people degrade you. He's such a sick SOB, man. But on September the 16th, 2024, you guys remember that day? That would be the day that the music died for John Diddy Combs. I believe that his Mark Agnifilo said, "We are disappointed with the decision to pursue what we believe is an unjust prosecution of Mr. Combs by a U.S. Attorney's Office." To his credit, Mr. Combs has been doing nothing but cooperating with the investigation, and he would voluntarily relocate to the New York area last week in anticipation of these charges. Please reserve your judgment until you've heard all the facts. These are the acts of an innocent man. Yeah, he wasn't doing anything wrong up until the time that they came and arrested him, except for the 54 phone calls to one of the people on the witness list, and telling the other person on the witness list that you'd make sure that they'd never have to worry about anything ever again if they tuned up the story a little bit. Allegedly, right? This is what he was doing. And by the way, I'm not making that up. It's what the federal government's alleging. But I'm still going to throw that allegedly out there just on the outside chance the diddler wins, gets out and decides he hates me. Right? That would suck. Yeah, you know what? I think that I have seen, tell me if you've been watching for a long time. I think Harvey has, we've watched Harvey get sick and come back a couple of times. Or he looked like maybe he was getting a treatment or something, but I've seen him look really bad before for a period of time where you thought, oh no. And then he sort of comes back looking good. I don't know. I used to watch, by way of full disclosure, it's been a really long time, but I used to watch it in prison pretty religiously before I quit watching television altogether. Purple Groovy, how are you? Yeah, hey, Perry Young, good to see you. These people aren't like us. Purple Groovy. These people aren't like us. Perry Young, lurking, good to see you. Great question, isn't it? It's a really great question. If any celebrity tries to move to Europe, do you think the feds will intervene or just wait and then try to extradite? Well, you know what? If they go to France, we may not extradite him, right? I mean, how long has what's his name been over there? Sharon Tate's husband, the director. I can't think of his name right now. Someone will get it for me though. See that? It's great to have a whole crew of people doing research for you. Roman Polanski, thank you. Word is Ashton is looking to move to Europe. Well, you know what? He probably should. You know where there's smoke, there's not always fire. There isn't. It's not always that way. But if you're a betting person, right? The safe money is if you see a crap load of smoke, it's usually because there's fire. There's a crap load of smoke around this dude, right? That whole thing that happened with his the girl he was dating, the one that was killed by the what they call him, the Hollywood Ripper, slasher, or some such. It's awful, but he was supposed to be picking her up for a date. He went there. Allegedly, he saw a big stain that he said he thought was wine. Funny thing is, you can't see where he saw the stain from outside. He said, I looked in the window without actually going over and looking at the window to see if that would actually work. I think maybe that Kelso dumb thing isn't as far off as it looks. Hey, Jason Parker. Yeah. Feeling better. I call BS on his story, says Sunset Salty Sage. hard not to call BS on this, right? And because of that, they couldn't prosecute this dude. They could not go and make an arrest because of Ashton's inability to be a solid stand-up cat. Allegedly, he called instead of the police. He called his agent or his manager or some such shit, and Danny Masterson, right? Because he's a solid cat to call, right? You heard here he and Mila tell him, man, he's like an older brother. You know, this guy's solid. I let him babysit my kids. Yeah. September 24th, another woman sues over a brutal attack. At this point, they were coming like this, right? That's Thalia Graves in a Manhattan federal court, alleging the mogul and his head of security, Joseph Sherman. This was also in a music studio, but this was in Combs' music studio. September 26th, yet another woman comes forward. Under the pseudonym Jane Doe, another woman identified only as a Florida model filed a lawsuit against Combs, alleging multiple counts of abuse starting in 2020. The woman also claimed Combs gave her drugs and used other coercive tactics, pressured her to involve other women and men in their sexual activities, and used coercive and harassing language that made her fear for her own safety. Not good, man. But October 1st is when we hear from Busby. You remember? This is our guy from Houston, 120 lawsuits. You saw on Aaron's stream that it is alleged that Scientology has a tape of DiCaprio. Well, how about that? I did not know that he had anything to do with that. Never knew. That's something. That's a hell of a headline. I wish I'd have loved to run with that. Under RICO, could they bring in his mom as a co-conspirator and seize assets? You know something? I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how to answer that. That would be a great question for my lawyer friend Zach, or for one of the real legal beagles. I'm just a convict. No, honestly, I do know a lot about a lot of the different laws in the feds, because I worked writing motions and doing things for people in law libraries. But RICO wasn't something that comes up a lot. My understanding is that everybody has to be pulling for the furtherance of the enterprise. If mom is out, if the limit of her involvement is that he's putting assets and property and money in her name, I mean, they might be able to get her for some tax evasion or something like that. I don't know whether they could RICO her. If she seems to be well aware of where the money's coming from with the freak offs and all of that stuff, then they probably could. That would be my guess, but I don't know that for sure. I am so sorry to hear that, Chrissy, but I'm not at all surprised. Yeah, bumped off all their perceived competition, allegedly. Hold on one second, everybody. Sorry. Yeah, his name. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do this, folks. This is not unheard of, right? I know that we feel like this dirty SOB doesn't have anything in his own name. There are a lot of people that do a lot of funky stuff with putting things in the name of relatives and moving stuff offshore and all of that. He's bragged before that he doesn't pay taxes. He's bragged before that he doesn't spend any of his own money on anything. And if that phone call is real, he bragged that he's also broke, which makes a lot of sense, right? Especially considering we know Diageo paid him $200 million. $200 million. $200 million. Are you going to check for $200 million? You're just not broke. You know what? It's going to be really interesting. I agree, Purple Groovy. I think that so much of Hollywood is tainted, and I don't think all of it is by any stretch. I really don't. I think that there are people in Hollywood that are above that. I mean, above that as in, let me put it this way. So you're not supposed to hustle people in prison, right? It's considered bad form, especially if you hustle someone that doesn't have bad paperwork, right? Nevertheless, there are a group of guys in prison that wait for people to come in, especially if they're, say, under 30. And they'll sidle right up to the guy as soon as he gets there and goes, "Hey, man, you trying to get high? Because I can get you, some stuff right now. You ain't got to pay for it now, but tell me what you get. Tell me what you get high on, and I'll go get us a couple sacks." And this is how these people maintain their addiction. They burn through a human being and then get another one. So they'll get that dude into a whole lot of debt until the point where he can't pay it back, or they're starting to get angry, and then they'll smash the kid off the yard for owing money. He ends up having to go to a special needs yard or whatever, and they're on to the next guy. And the reason that I bring that up is there are people that you just can't do it to. And you'll watch these guys, and someone will come through the door and they won't go anywhere near him. They know either this guy doesn't do drugs or this guy's not going to put up with this. He's probably seen this happen before. He's going to smell exactly what I'm doing, and he might want to hit me, right? There are people that just, they don't go after. And I kind of think that Hollywood is that way. I think that there are people that just are probably getting by. And I shouldn't say Hollywood. I'm talking about all of it. I think there are people that get by on talent. And then I think that there are people that they put into places because they can take advantage of them and keep a whole lot of money. When you're personal friends with an ex-president, you don't have to pay taxes. A lot of people put stuff in other people's names. They do. And a lot of times people take advantage of tax laws that are written and in place. And when they do, everybody will hate them for taking advantage of those tax laws. If wonder who co-signed for the boys Bentley. Well, my understanding is that the Bentley he owed $180,000. I mean, how much is your friggin' payment, right? Maybe they're not letting him pay, and he has to pay off the remainder of it. But it seems like I don't know. Seems odd. It really does. So this is when Tony Busby on October the 1st said 120 lawsuits, right? He said over 3,000 people had called. They're going to pursue no matter where the evidence goes or who it implicates. He came out and said a lot of really cool things. I mean, we all got excited about the stuff that he said. He said, we're going to expose the enablers who enabled this conduct behind closed doors. And he said, I don't care if you're famous, names are going to come out. He said, I know you're here because you want to hear names, and you're going to, but not today. I don't know whether or not we're going to, right? I think that if everybody's willing to pay him, maybe it was 197,000. Thank you. I apologize. Yeah, you'd hate to see somebody lose their Bentley, especially while dad's in prison, and everybody in North America has accused him of doing something wrong. Wow. Foul. Yeah, people started getting real quiet. Like, this was the time that everybody started going, oh shit, right? If there were any thoughts of taking off and heading to safer harbors, I would imagine it was right around that day, right? It was right around that day. October the 1st is when everybody started getting a little nervous. On October 9th, Combs' lawyers accused the feds of leaking damaging evidence. They're saying that you're the ones that released the tape of Combs in the hotel by the elevator, beating the brakes off of Cassie. A bunch of people have said to me in emails, he wasn't worried that people were going to hear that and come out. He used to rent 2 floors, right? he would rent 2 floors so he could run around and with nothing on up and down the hallways and do whatever he does, because obviously you need 2 floors. Seriously, especially if you're hurting people, right? You don't want people to hear the noises of people, and sometimes they had to have to heal for a few weeks before they could, be seen in public. Not my kind of sex. Did I see the Diddy Kids advertisement for their new reality show coming out soon? That blows me away. I have to believe that either was filmed before any of this started, right? I just cannot believe that they would be doing anything like that with all of this going on. I can't imagine it. I truthfully can't. It seems funny to me. Sorry, not funny, haha, but funny. You got to be kidding me, right? It's just disturbing. That's all it is. It's disturbing. Ooh, welcome. And then October the 10th, we set a trial date. We said, and all of the dates were set. So all of the discovery has to be to the defense by December the 31st. February 17th, motions have to be written by, and then the 5th of May, right? The 5th of May is when we're going to get underway, start the voir dire process of picking a jury so that we can go to trial. And then on October the 14th, he's hit with 6 new lawsuits, right? And you remember this batch? This batch had the Mark Echo guy, right? It had a lot of underage people in this, right? In this 6. October 16th is when Combs said, you know what? I want to know who every single person in all of these lawsuits are. You can't be hitting me with Jane Doe and John Doe and all this. I can't defend myself if I don't know who the people are, which to me is an admission of guilt. It's like saying, I did this to so many people. You're really going to have to let me know who we're talking about here. I mean, hell, you know what I mean? It would have been like saying to me back in the day, we think you might have done a gram of dope. Yeah, pretty good chance, right? You're going to have to narrow it down a lot more than that. Even if he wins, his rep is ruined. If he wins this, people, there will have been a fix in. I'm telling you, there will be a really big fix in. October 20th, another wave of lawsuits. And each lawsuit is getting more and more disturbing. This last wave of lawsuits, this had the girl who was 13-year-old girl at the time. She's a 37-year-old woman now. This happened right after the VMA Music Awards. And it had 2 other stars in it. They referred to them as Celebrity A and Celebrity B, right? One was a man, one was a woman. The man actually participated. So Sean Combs and the man assaulted this girl while the woman just watched. Now, people, I'm out of here because there's a hearing going on. I didn't want to cut this thing too short, but there's a hearing going on right now that I want to watch. And you should probably be watching it too. It's the Menendez brothers. I am Tommy. I will see you on the next one. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Let's see what's up with the Menendez brothers.